UFC 299 and UFC 300 set a high bar, making this pay-per-view seem very lackluster in comparison. With many of the Brazilians' top fighters already showcased in those two previous cards, this card leans heavily on Brazil versus the world, which I love personally. Despite the contrast, I'm still excited for it, especially compared to the typical Apex events. The big fight at UFC 301 is the flyweight main event, with Alexander Pantoja facing off against Steve Erceg this Saturday, and I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a real thrill. Even though a lot of folks don't pay much attention to the flyweight division, especially for a pay-per-view main event, so I actually expect this pay-per-view to bomb. It'll probably be the worst pay-per-view of the year. Now I'm gonna be honest, this is a very weird main event. The flyweight division is starting to fade again when it comes to attention, and the same thing could be said about the top 15, as their ceiling is below the championship quality, or guys who aren't active enough to be given title shots. Now Steve Erceg has managed to bag himself a title shot from number 10th in the ranking, despite having only 3 fights in the company. Aside from fighters coming into the organization with a strong reputation in combat sports, I can't think of a fighter who has made their way to a title shot quicker than Steve Erceg has in recent years. And I find it intriguing personally that Steve Erceg is ranked number 10 and he is receiving a title shot from the champ Pantoja. And I don't know, personally, I don't think it's that much of a big deal. You see, Mokaev stunk the Apex up in his last fight, Manel Cat fumbled the bag by missing weight, Royval is 0-2 against Pantoja and just literally got destroyed by him like a few months ago. And as silly as it sounds, this is the only matchup that really works right now. Plus, he might actually beat Pantoja stylistically because he's slick as fuck on the feet overall. It's a fun matchup, what can I say? It just shouldn't be the main event for UFC 301. With all that being said, Pantoja is the betting favorite with a minus 198, while Steve Erceg is the underdog with a plus 164, which I'm surprised. I actually thought Steve Erceg would be the favorite, to be honest. Because Steve Erceg in the outside is amazing, and the dude is an amazing boxer. He doesn't have punching power, and he's not really the fastest flyweight, I would say, but what really sets him apart from the entire division is his accuracy and his timing. He is 5'8", so he's extremely tall for that weight class, especially when you think of the average height of the flyweights is like what, 5'4" to 5'6". And Steve is just so slick when it comes to the head movement, and on the outside I feel like nobody can touch him. Not just because he's a great ass striker, but just because he has that very abnormal height and his ability to fight on the outside. The dude is also well-rounded defensively. He's very defensively sound when it comes to the grappling aspect. He's also great in taking your back and scrambles. He's the full package when it comes to being a flyweight. But with all that being said, that's what makes this fight extremely interesting, because when it comes to Pantoja's game plan, he has always been the type to march directly towards you and brawl and block with his face, take you down and submit you. And to Pantoja's credit, he's actually quite good when it comes to that. The dude really throws a lot of loopy shots, but he has a lot of power, and the dude is very strong in the clinch. Like, if you go back to his last fight with Brandon, Moreno was clearly the better striker and was landing the cleaner shots, but Pantoja is a tank, and he tanked his way to Moreno and just kept coming. Here's another example. When Pantoja fought Alex Perez, Pantoja literally ran towards Alex and threw down in the pocket and took Alex down, took his back, and submitted him. The dude is a beast, to say the least, and I'm surprised he doesn't get that much more attention, if I'm being realistic. So that's why I find this matchup so freaking interesting, man. Steve Erceg is going to try to maintain range, keep Pantoja on the back of his shots, and keep teeing off on him, while Pantoja wants to make this into a dogfight, get into the pocket, take him down, and either grind him down or just submit him if that's possible. And I'm not gonna lie, Steve Erceg has been caught on the pocket before by Costa. Granted, Steve recovered and won the fight, but that's still quite concerning when it comes to this matchup. Historically, I usually bet on Pantoja against most opponents because I've always been convinced he's a nightmare matchup for the division and has multiple paths to victory. And I have tried to fade Erceg out, mostly due to the rapid stepping up in competition, but I also bet him against Costa, and Erceg has always proven that he's that guy. So with all that being said, my pick for this Saturday is Steve Erceg. I believe Steve and Pantoja is going to go into a war, but I believe that Steve will survive the early onslaught and the pressure from Pantoja and the grappling exchanges, and eventually start teeing off and potentially finish Pantoja in the later rounds. I forgot to mention this, when Pantoja fought Moreno last time, there were times where he slowed down to catch his breath, and if that happens in this fight, I believe Steve will take advantage of the situation and TKO Pantoja. But what do you guys think? Who do you guys think is going to win this Saturday? And like always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always, guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.